The United Nations has recently realized the significance of semiconductor chips. Since World War II, U.S. technological superiority has been a pillar of the country's might. As jobs shifted abroad, American manufacturing gradually declined. The United States currently produces only 10% of the world's chips. Will the U.S. win this tech battle from China? What are both sides doing to ace their game in the field of semiconductors? Well, to find out answers to these questions, stay with us till the end of the video. Semiconductors are found in everything, including financial systems, automobiles, and airplanes. Taiwan and South Korea are currently leading the world in chip production, but the US has lagged behind in producing the most cutting-edge processors. Once seen as unpopular, industrial policy is currently gaining support as decision-makers become aware of the strategic importance of semiconductor production. The Bipartisan Chips and Science Act, which aims to strengthen America's semiconductor supply chain, is the result of this change. Given semiconductors a critical role in the future, it is obvious that from the standpoint of industrial strategy, they deserve special consideration and support. One of the most important pieces of President Biden's policy agenda is the CHIPS Act, which aims to protect the U.S. economy's long-term stability. Producing chips necessary for national security is the main goal of the $52.7 billion budget, which also includes $39 billion for grants and an investment tax credit that offers a 25% tax reduction for semiconductor fabrication projects. The U.S. is creating centers across the nation to provide the required infrastructure and capabilities in order to regain its position as the world leader in chip manufacture. Large chip fabrication facilities that produce wafers, the fundamental silicon disks needed for chip production, will be supported by these centers. At tens of billions of dollars, these factories are enormous industrial undertakings that yield the smallest components ever constructed on Earth. Phoenix is included as one of the 5 manpower centers for manufacturing jobs, making Arizona the focal point of this initiative. Major semiconductor companies, including TSMC and Intel, are heavily investing in the state to establish cutting-edge chip production facilities. By transforming the Rust Belt into the Silicon Heartland, these developments herald a revolutionary change. Many people prioritize building a knowledge-based economy with well-paying jobs, which is why the semiconductor business is receiving a lot of attention. Arizona State University has been a major player in workforce development and has contributed significantly to the growth of the semiconductor industry. With features reducing to 3 nanometers and beyond, technology is advancing at a rapid pace, posing huge challenges that excites engineering students to tackle. Kazakhstani student Mark Lee is driven to have an influence in the semiconductor sector. The U.S. appeals to him because it is a land of opportunity where striving for success can yield rewards. Talent acquisition is still difficult, though, and calls for both enhanced high-skilled immigration laws and STEM education. Leading innovator in the semiconductor sector, Intel has a long history of creativity and vision. Even though the corporation is well known, its important contributions to the industry over the previous 50 years are occasionally disregarded. The development of integrated circuits, or microprocessors, by Intel was crucial in establishing the current state of technology. Once a pioneer in chip invention, Intel continuously outperformed rivals by designing and producing chips in novel ways. But in recent times, Intel's advantage has narrowed, and it has found difficult to hold on to its advantage in the face of strong rivalry. As other businesses caught up, Intel's hegemony was challenged. Intel has declared intentions to make $150 billion in capital expenditures over the course of 5 years in an attempt to reclaim its position. These plans are comparable to those made by rivals such as TSMC and Samsung. And with this, Intel is attempting to turn around decades of decline and bring in a new age of growth, which represents a substantial shift in approach. Gordon Moore and other visionaries have foreseen the exponential rise of semiconductor technology, which is embodied in Moore's Law, since the early days of chip development. For more than 50 years, this law, which claims that the number of transistors in a chip doubles every year or 2, has been the driving force behind constant innovation in chip design and production. Almost all electronic devices in use today are powered by semiconductor technology. Smartphones alone are made up of billions of tiny transistors. During the pandemic, chip shortages caused havoc with global supply lines affecting everything from electronics to the automobile industry. This demonstrated the obvious importance of chips. This crisis forced a reassessment of the importance of the chip business and highlighted the crucial role that semiconductors play in contemporary production. Car manufacturers suffered enormous financial losses as a result of the semiconductor shortage, losing billions of dollars in sales income because chips were unavailable. In an effort to lessen potential disruptions, businesses have prioritized de-risking their supply chains and making investments in chip manufacturing. Today, 90% of the most sophisticated processors in the world are produced by Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, which commands a dominant market share. Given the concentration of production in East Asia, this over-reliance on a single source puts both economic stability and national security at danger. Its singular concentration in chip manufacturing and catering to a wide range of customers, including Nvidia and Apple, has contributed to TSMC's climb to prominence. The world's largest and most sophisticated chip producer, it is the result of its enormous plants and technological breakthroughs. There are worries about weaknesses in international supply chains, meanwhile, given Taiwan's concentration of semiconductor manufacturing. Larger disruptions than those observed during the situation in Ukraine may result from a conflict or embargo including Taiwan. There is an immediate need to address vulnerabilities in semiconductor supply chains due to the possibility of Chinese aggression and the geopolitical concerns surrounding Taiwan. Safeguarding access to sophisticated semiconductors is strategically important, as the United States realizes, especially as China continues its assertive measures in the region, including military maneuvers around Taiwan. The Asia-Pacific region's precarious power balance and the necessity of taking proactive steps to maintain peace and security are starkly brought to light by the current geopolitical tensions. There are serious geopolitical concerns with China's rapidly expanding military might in the Taiwan Straits, which is being driven by higher military investment and concentrated efforts to threat Taiwan. A chip embargo, similar to the oil embargo of the 1970s, would have far-reaching effects and perhaps bring about social unrest and a collapse of the world economy. Economic rivalry must be controlled to avoid development into more serious conflicts, as seen by the changing global paradigm and the tensions between the US and China. A primary focus of rivalry between the two countries is the semiconductor industry, which is essential to both national security and future global competitiveness. China is not yet a technological powerhouse, and the US has acknowledged that this is largely due to its lack of modern chip-making capabilities. Due to the possible risks, including China's nuclear weapons program, the US is proactively preventing China from obtaining access to cutting-edge chip technology. Even with large expenditures in homegrown semiconductor manufacturing, China is still a small participant in the chip market and is largely dependent on imports. China has invested billions of dollars on subsidies and programs such as the National Integrated Circuit Fund, but its semiconductor industry remains technologically behind that of other developed countries such as Taiwan and South Korea. The developing pattern points to a possible split in the global semiconductor business, with a rising gap between chip industries supplying China and those serving the rest of the world. This change emphasizes the continuous struggle for technological superiority, as well as the strategic significance of the semiconductor sector in determining the course of world politics. Beyond fundamental science, tacit knowledge, especially the shop floor knowledge needed to maximize manufacturing yields and optimize processes, is equally essential to the progress of the semiconductor industry. Leading semiconductor manufacturing companies such as TSMC have a great deal of tacit knowledge that has been gathered by its employees. Restrictions on chip shipments to China may be tightened by the US as advanced semiconductors become more important for national security. This is an attempt to prevent the exploitation of advanced technologies against their own interests. As firms like Nvidia lead the way in their development, specialized chips for particular uses, such as GPUs for AI applications, are becoming more and more crucial. Unlike in the past, where emerging technologies often originated from government agencies like the Department of Defense, today's innovations, including AI, primarily emerge from the private sector. This shift poses challenges for governments to manage the national security implications of these technologies effectively. The US government's efforts to compete with China in technological leadership require a coordinated bipartisan approach, leveraging economic, diplomatic, and military tools. Recent restrictions on chip transfers to China reflect this strategy, aiming to limit China's access to advanced AI chips for defense and intelligence purposes. Since World War II, technological leadership has been a cornerstone of U.S. strength and security. The evolving dynamics of the U.S.-China supply chain relationship underscore the need for re-evaluation and potential restructuring of global supply chains to safeguard national interests and technological supremacy. Will the US be able to protect their place in the technology world? Do share your views in the comment section below. If you enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and see you in another video soon.